Hey everyone, welcome to my very first organized monthly Patreon stream on the road to Yonjugosai 45 45. Ta-da! The gates of 45. I feel really, really amazing actually. So that often happens when May 1st hits. I spend the whole month celebrating my birthday. And I have always had this tradition ever since I was a child because I grew up an abandoned and neglected child emotionally. And so I had to celebrate my life because I didn't feel like there were people around me, my caretakers, that were really celebrating it for and with me. And so I started that tradition, like, I'm going to love myself on my birthday. I had very strong self-love practices, which got me through a lot of hard times when I was younger. But I think there's all these elements of healing, right, that come together. And I was spiritual, and I had self-love, and I had therapy at different times. I had found marijuana. But the thing that I was missing was that I wasn't medicated, which is a huge part of it. And a huge part of why I feel clear on the road to 45 is because at 44 I had my huge brain bursting over breakthrough in October, in which I figured out that a lot of the struggle that I've been going through is a trauma response from my childhood, which I may have figured out or had thought of that before, but it's really an actual mental illness or a disability that has been plaguing me for a very long time, and it's actually remnant subconscious programs from fear I had as a child. So, and then complex PTSD is basically like when that's reinforced over and over and over and over again. So because I was kind of pushed down by my family structure multiple times and abandoned multiple times by both of my caretakers, not just as a child, but like over in my 20s. My mom is also probably has a mental illness that's undiagnosed. So I understand why she's the way that she is, but I'm no longer really trying to enable this facade that I grew up living. I'm no longer trying to enable the story, which is she worked really hard as a single mother, raising 3 kids. That was the old story. And now I'm like, okay, I'm no longer going to enable her neglect and failure of a parent this Mother's Day. And I no longer feel any guilt about that because I feel really clear in the boundaries that I set with a lot of my family spiritually. And it just feels really clean and fine. And I think that if we saw each other again, we would just be like, fine, hey, how's it going? Like, that's the extent of our interactions, and it would be the same as it was the last time we saw each other. Because relationships don't progress when you don't go deeper, right? So my dad vehemently, expressed to me that he didn't want any deep stuff. I think that was at 44. And then I said, well, I can't have a relationship with you then, Father, because, what's the point of that for me? Whew, it's getting hot. I'm probably going to end up taking my shirt off. Okay. This is YouTube safe, though, because I'm not going to show anything. In Hawaii, I'm always without my shirt. And on Patreon, you can be naked, but I am on the road to 45, and it feels really good because I discovered my programming, and unplugged from it at 44. I got on antidepressants, and that made a huge difference. And I found out what I was suffering from my whole life. That made a huge difference. And then I could start to listen to the different programs that had been running the show my whole life and deconstruct them and unplug them. Because you can't unplug a program that you don't know is there. And most of our stuff is subconscious from childhood, right? And some of it is so deep that it takes years, right? Obviously, I'm turning 45. I didn't get to this point where I'm like happy to be 45. Do you remember? You probably don't. But when I was 39 turning 40, I was crying every single day of May. I was so fearful of turning 40 because in my mind, I felt like I was going to die at 40. 40 was the end for me. That was death, but that was my complex PTSD speaking. And just this fear that I was supposed to be something successful and I had failed in every way. I'd failed humanity. You know, that's what I was like crying about. I'd failed to do anything productive as a citizen, and I was going to turn 40. And I was going to go to Japan and I might die. You know, I was like super scared that I wasn't going to get a job or a visa, or I was going to be homeless, or, you know, I had no idea what I was doing. I just knew that I needed to go to Japan. And so that was a big hurdle. So 40 was a big hurdle. And then all the doors opened for me at 40, and then doors closed for me. So doors open, doors closed. But this was supposed to be about artwork, Patreon, artwork. But anyway, trying to get more of my shit together and be better with my Patreon fans. But now that we know that I've had CPTSD for decades on top of PTSD, that's a lot of why following schedules and remembering to create a schedule, and you know, I have all these different mediums that I create for, and so I'm trying to be good with all of them. I have a great OnlyFans that I've been almost running for 8 months now, and I'm able to do it the way that I want to do it and not have to, you know, do anything more explicit than I feel is an alignment with myself right now. Let's see. There's a sketch of my dog that my niece did, and some of this stuff is kind of new. I'm trying to get it together. But I feel like, let me see if I can do this. Yes, Instagram safe. Let's keep it Instagram safe, everybody. Art. Okay, so this is a big thing that I wanted to share with you. What am I doing? Okay, so I have been applying to all these amazing jobs, and just because I'm medicated, I'm able to have hope for the future, and on a real concrete basis. So it doesn't feel like a marijuana hallucination where I'm like, oh, I have this great idea, I'm gonna produce this freaking Beyonce homecoming parade, and I want to do that, and I wish I could always be that awesome, but budgeting, restrictions, and permits and stuff, and celebrity status withstanding, sometimes it's not always possible to do. But, oh, that's not the window I want. Come on, baby. No. Okay, so I've been applying to different jobs. I decided that if I go back to teaching, I want to teach I want to teach Japanese. I want to teach Japanese or art, actually. And I don't want to teach like drawing and pottery and stuff. I want to teach my art, which is basically self-identity artwork. And I've been doing that for 20 years since I graduated from UC Berkeley. Art has been it's a coping mechanism for the anxiety and depression that I feel and the torment that I feel sometimes, like it's a way for, just like every other artist, of course, but it's a way for, you to express your dark emotions. So I applied to, no, that's the Asian American one. Where is, okay, so this is the Asian American one, and I thought I'm going to talk about Asian sex workers. And what a better time than when the Bay Area is bursting with anti-Asian racism. And so I finished turning this one in. UC Berkeley Extension, which is all online. Remote locations. So it seems like something that I could qualify for. I went to UC Berkeley. I graduated from there from the art department. So digital photography is a class that they teach, and I'm not actually a traditional photographer anymore. I was when I was at UC Berkeley, but I moved on to doing photo media by my junior year when I studied that in Australia, in Sydney, Australia, and I have not really, and digital photography has kind of taken over film, obviously, since 1997, and I haven't looked back. So I have all of these qualifications. I have a portfolio, actually. I have online teaching experience. I have classroom teaching experience. Advanced degree. 5 or more years of professional experience in the course subject area in digital photo media. I do have I have a body of work being a content creator. Now content creator has an actual official name, whereas I was just unemployed before. I was just a sex working artist before. I was never unemployed. I was always doing sex work, and that's how I paid for my art. That was always, the reason and the means to the end. It was always about my art. Let's see. And so now it's full circle and time for me to apply to my alma mater and see if they will accept me once again. And I feel really strong about a lot of my, a lot of the things that I submitted for the first time. At first it was really hard. Like I was really like, I'm not worthy. But then as I started to do the stuff, like, I started to get really happy with, you have to write a cover letter, you have to write a statement of diversity, and inclusion and belonging, and I'm like, oh my God, I am usually a loner and an outcast. I was ostracized from my family unit, and that is why I have so many sort of antisocial qualities at times, because I just was alone a lot, in my family, or having to protect myself, like defend myself, or fawn, like be whatever they wanted me to be so that I could hang out with them. That was how I developed the fawn response. And also having an emotional unavailable mother and father was, and that having 2 caretakers that were emotionally unavailable just had its effects, and I'm just starting to finally heal completely by being like, aha, that's totally what is happening here, and it's not going to happen any longer. And so being medicated helps to, I wanted to show my recent work. being medicated is the secret to my success. And hopefully it'll be the secret to my continued success. And I feel like it doesn't make me flawless, and my problems have not gone away. My memory is still as bad, you know, sometimes it's shockingly bad. I have to ask for accommodations more often all the time with my private clients because I feel I forget things, you know. I forget things that, appointments and times, and I have high anxiety, but because now I am medicated, my anxiety is not that high. It never goes into panic attack or major depression. So where's my album that I just recently made? I haven't sang in ages. I want to show you my art albums, which are in this Patreon. Was supposed to be about my art, staying on the topic. I have to tell myself whenever I'm shooting a live to stay on the topic. Oh, I also applied to an art show. So I have become friends or in contact with one of these curators that I worked with in Manhattan named Katie, and she has gotten me in touch with other people. We started to meet and do an art crit every Sunday, and there's some really good people in there that are like showing artists, and it's kind of getting me back into this idea of thinking about art and showing my art and organizing my portfolios and everything. And so all of this is like organizing. It's like a constant organization process. My OnlyFans is basically like I find new pictures and I throw them on my OnlyFans, and I talk story, and I really encourage you guys, if you want to see more nudity and more skin and more about the sex work history and not the art aspect of my life, then that it's like both are the same, but then Patreon kind of focuses on the art, and my art is about sex work. But yes, and so where is my most recent? So my most recent album, this is what I want to show you. Okay, so she put on her Facebook this I'm Every Woman, Whitney Houston kind of themed biennial that's taking place in London. And I applied. I threw in all of these things. I applied to these 2 jobs in higher ed. One's to teach Japanese this summer, and then one is to do this art. I mean, my dream is basically, like, this image is very Cindy Sherman inspired. I don't know if you know the queen of photo stills, untitled photo stills, is Cindy Sherman, and she was my first sort of influence in thinking that I could actually make a body of work of just my own image. And actually, all of this is around not being seen enough as a child and trying to find my own beauty through creating artwork. Artwork about, or artwork with me as the subject. Because it's about me, but it's like my exploration of different archetypes. Like this is the Shifu. Shifu means housewife in Japanese. And I had gained a bunch of weight. I was eating a lot of carbs and drinking a lot of beer, and I had all of the accoutrements of the Shifu. This gigantic visor and grandma panties, and I was living at the time in a really a standard Japanese household. You know, all of this setup is very Japanese, and my life changed so much, and like my fat is just popping out. It's awesome. But no matter how much I tried, I was just never really like, I think I intimidated Japanese men, being more dominant than them or confident, or I'm not sure. I don't know. But this is my most recent work. This is my 2019 to 2021 album. And so it has the Shifu series in there. It has, this is Amaterasu, the goddess of the sun that created Japan. I have this piece in a black lacquer wall piece right now in my apartment. Window capture. Where is image? Need to move this. Yeah, my big skill that I acquired in 2020, I put up my OnlyFans out of, so I'm trying to replace the stripping income, because all of this like scrambling around and trying to make my tantra business as great as it could be. But I think that I'm just really fed up with trying to convince people that energy work is beneficial. So this is the last time that I went to The last time I went to Japan was February of last year, right before the pandemic started. I had to clean out my storage, which I could have just thrown all that stuff away, because I ended up throwing everything away. That was my last chapter, and going back to this, it was like a pilgrimage to this, supposedly the place where Amaterasu's mirror is stored, but it ended up being a total weird experience where I felt like it was like it's my least favorite temple, actually. It feels like super political and super elitist, and there's guards everywhere, and it just doesn't feel real. It feels very Japanese nationalist, which has a vibe, and I don't know, it has a different energy than a lot of the other shrines. I can feel energy, I can feel the spirits, even if I don't see them. I don't see spirits, I feel them. So this is Amaterasu. She supposedly created the islands of Japan, but I feel like the goddess culture in both Japan and India have been forgotten, as the woman has been relegated to the housewife raising the kids, and the man is still working overtime 6 days a week, and his overtime is not even overtime. It's just pretending to look busy most of the time. There's a lot of that going on. This was the work that I created in Hawaii. My Shakti Shiva and my infatuation with this gay model. Just more of me wanting love from what is unattainable. This is me doing a selfie in the strip club. I wanted to capture how abandonment, depression feels. I didn't know, of course, at the time that that's what I was feeling, but now that I look back on it, having gone over a hurdle, I can look back on it and be like, thank God I no longer ever feel this way. That this kind of feeling is just something that is not part of my and just being in a strip club on Thanksgiving, or doing sex work on Thanksgiving and Christmas, because my family was so dysfunctional that I didn't want to go home for the holidays, has happened so many times. And just being in the loneliest place in the world is a strip club on Thanksgiving often, but I choose to be there, or I feel like I have to be there. to work. I have to work. I'm usually broke or usually like needing to pay rent or something. It's an endless cycle that I feel like I'm really still trying to get out of, but hopefully this will be the year. 45 will be the big year. So let's go back to the bigger screen. So this is a little plate that I made. This was my birthday last year. This is like the day that the George Floyd was killed on May 15th, and this is May 29th. But this was the day that the streets broke out in violence. It was craziness. And that was the day that I turned 44. This is Benzaiten, the goddess of art and music that I'm imitating. And I often wear this kimono, so... and this is after November, where I finally got on acetalopram, or Lexapro. And previously my medicine had only been marijuana, which I still won't go a day without. I was hoping, and this happened at first, that I would smoke less weed, but that hasn't happened. It's just that when I run out of weed, I don't drop. Whereas before, when I was not medicated, I would drop in abandonment depression very low. And so that is what made marijuana have a drug addiction quality to it. But now that I have antidepressants in my body and I can still smoke weed, it's really but then I can't drink. I cannot drink or do any other drugs. And I drank kombucha once, and I freaking, when I was substituting, I threw up in the garbage bin suddenly in front of all the students. I was like, bleh, like I felt all hot, and I was getting like a food poison feeling, and I was like, oh my god, bleh. And then I went home, and I soon became better after I went home, but that was crazy. That was like a total complication in the meds. Here's some other artwork, because I have memory loss because of PTSD, and now that I found out that I have complex PTSD, that explains why scheduling and names and directions are hard for me, because that's complex PTSD. It has put in subconscious programs and taken out certain useful synapses, I think. But this is my 30-day pill taker, and what I've done to remember that I need to take where I'm at as I keep the doors open. And it's been hard. It's still a challenge. I still almost forget every day. But I'm getting better, actually. It's been like so many months now. One time I tried to snort it just to, So this is all my art. All these stills are just like, my new life is having a disability bus pass and taking antidepressants and having a service dog that I'm training. And I don't drink alcohol, and I live by myself, and everything's great, but it's like I have a disability that I'm claiming, and it's a new existence. A disability is something that has gotten in the way, that prohibits you from doing one or more of your major life activities, which is eating, sleeping, working, drinking, seeing, all of these different major life activities. And for me, I realized that working is one of them, and that I've avoided certain types of work because of the CPTSD, anxiety, and depression, and just a lot of my lack of structure in life to survive without parents makes it really difficult for me to hold a structured job. I get fired a lot and I quit. And so it's just trying to like find the balance between real wondering if this is even worth it. I have done a ton of drugs in my life and was very proud of the fact that I never became a drug addict. But I was really a codependent, so that's just as bad. So there's nothing to be proud of in all of that. Addiction is addiction, but some addictions are, ranked higher than others. But there's a 20-year difference between these two pictures, and my dog and my meds are just a whole new world for me. And not that I want to do a whole bunch of these before after pictures, because I was having a good old time in the before. I thought it was great, that's where I was at that time. But I was angry and I was engaging in risky behavior because I was walking around the streets like that, and I wanted, and I continued this kind of performance art for until I was in my 30s. And this is actually a manifestation of the complex post-traumatic stress disorder. It's like risk behavior, but it doesn't seem like it. But I am doing that because I want to see if I can get away again. There's this theme, this rebellious teen. I want to see if I can get away with this kind of behavior because I've gotten away with it in the past. And I'm just daring people to fuck with me, And then when they don't, then I feel invincible. That's the game that I used to play. And then here's the after, just recently. I love waking up with my beautiful dog. I love my dog. I just did a post about my dog. So I have my 2019 to 2021 artwork album. I made art in Japan, which is something that I committed to doing, and I'm really proud in retrospect that I did. I made art in Hawaii. I've continued to do my work, and that's always been a fear of mine. Oh my God, I've stopped doing artwork. I'm not doing my artwork. But throughout, I noticed that I have my 20-year body of artwork, my 20-year legacy. So I have another album to show you. All those albums, which I may or may not be able to show you. Hold on. Oops. Window capture. Video capture. No. This is my original Asian Princess Artifact series from 2003. This is me at 25. So this is the pretty side of that Wanna Dance picture. This is me at the beginning of my strip club career. Just feeling, really hot but tortured. I wasn't actually having a lot of intercourse here either, but I've kind of always been, I've gone back and forth with thinking, at this time too, am I on the asexual scale? Doing a lot of these images is and becoming a stripper at that time was empowering, and it was just a way for me to be as sexual, expressive. But it didn't mean that I was having intercourse with people. This is a guy that I wanted to have a relationship with, and we had intercourse, but he freaked out and then he left my house. This was my very original Roadside Attraction series. This is all about complex post-traumatic stress disorder. So a lot of these baby doll kind of images is all about who I've been since I was 5 years old, like just a too sexy little girl, too sexy, too sexy for my rocking horse. But like, I was never a freak. I was always looking like this, but it was basically, the extent of it was being a stripper. Until I then transitioned into doing other kinds of sex work. But for a long time, I had a hard line around just doing show, but no deeper than that. But so here the pattern starts where this is a hot guy. He seems like he's with me here, but yet he won't really be with me. Here's my bully sister. This sister right here is really like the pattern for every abusive relationship that I've actually ever been in. She just never really liked me, and she is letting me take her picture here. Oh, she looks really nice here. Look at this. And here's my little niece. This is so long ago. Look at what a sweet picture this is. Spring, cherry blossom. Like, I always wanted her to like me, but she never liked me. She never acknowledges me as human, and she just barely can say anything nice to me. It's so I ended up dating men who were like that, just replaying that same scenario over and over again. Where is... Okay. A lot of these are not supposed to be seen publicly, so I'm not going to. Let's see. Video capture. No. I don't know why that's not working. It says webcam, but okay. Well, oops. I'm trying to do a closing. Trying to do a closing. Oh wait, here is the other camera, I think, right? Let's see. Yes. Okay. Back in business. Okay. Back in business, everybody. Ooh, dang. Okay, so I gotta go like this. Gotta keep it safe for the kitties. Safe for the kitties. Alright, organizing everything. We're about to end this stream, and if you want to become my new patron, please subscribe. Please become a new subscriber, and I will try to give you new live every month and an update on everything. I just submitted my resume to that UC Berkeley art pool. Like, that is an entry-level college position at my alma mater, and I'm just like hoping that I have established myself in my art career enough that I can be looked at as qualified. If anybody would hold space for, they have a whole essay that you have to write on diversity and belonging, and that I understand UC Berkeley's policy on inclusion, and I was like, I totally understand this. It's like, I'm a product of it, so how could I not understand it? But my real world confidence is a little shaken. It's been a very long time since I felt like I could actually take on, real world teaching work. or apply for things that I really wanted. It's been a while. So that's the May update. I will be 45. I'm on the road to 45 and feeling really good about it. My dog is my whole life, and she's not even in this video, but she is sleeping, so we won't wake her up. I hope to get one new subscriber, one new Patreon for my birthday. All I want for